everyone, this is MykeCheck'd95 at it again with another MykeCheck'd Productions MykeCheck'd movie review. I'm getting better at that tongue twister there. And before we get into this review, again, Patreon accounts for MykeCheck'd95 and RDW Red Does Wrestling. Links will be right here, down below, and in the description box for you to see and click on. But just to cut to the chase, going straight into this next movie review, and it is the movie review I did promise in the end of the last video. It is my revisited review of Friday the 13th Part 2, and I promise you it'll be longer than 2 minutes. So, Friday the 13th Part 2. It takes place, I think it's 20 years later. I think it is 20 years later after the events of the first one. This is the film that starts with Jason as the killer and not his mother, because his mother dies in the first one. And pretty much it's your typical teens come to a camp. They tell about the story of his mother and saying that her son Jason actually survived the drowning when he was only a child. And he's just out there roaming around in the woods. Sorry right now, I've got some indigestion or something. It's kind of bugging me. They go out to a camp to kind of like restart it, to do like a summer camp for kids. It's like a huge group of like, I wouldn't say teenagers, maybe like 18, 19-year-olds, maybe early 20s, like young adults. And they tell the story of the events from the last film that was years ago, about the mother who took revenge to the camp counselors who were too busy having sex while her son drowned in the lake because her son couldn't swim, and so she killed them all, and pretty much anyone that came near that camp, she would go into another mental breakdown and remember what happened to her son and then just kill everyone. But she ended up dying, getting her head chopped off, and the rumor of the story is that Jason survived. He saw her mother get decapitated, and now he wants revenge for the people who killed his mom and just wants to be left alone. That is literally the only way to pretty much solve every Friday the 13th male film. Leave Jason alone. Don't go to Crystal Lake. Don't fuck with this shit. Don't fuck with him. That's all you gotta do. Just don't go there. Pick another vacation spot. Bonus. I'd say it's been longer than 2 minutes, at least on this filming part. I will say the kill count is definitely doubled in this film. I want to say it's doubled, but I know that half of the cast, or half of the counselors that leave don't come back because they stay at the bar because there's a nasty storm hitting. So there's still a good chunk of people that are getting killed by Jason with his sack head and whatnot. The kills in this movie are pretty, it's 1981, 82? I think it's 81. The only kills that are really coming to mind in my head, there's a lot of like, weird like half body shot, like throat slits and whatnot. Again, the 1980s were really rough on horror films with the MPAA always chopping down on how gory the movie's supposed to be. But the one kill that actually does come to mind that I do remember is the one where the cop takes the butt into the hammer to the back of the head when he finds Jason's little hideout. That one, it kind of does make me cringe sometimes when I see that, because that is the back end of a hammer going straight into the top of your skull. And god, the quick cut there, I mean, yeah, it's the quick cut is but it also kind of adds the cringiness to it, I would say. Crazy Ralph gets killed off in this movie, even though I feel like he should have stayed throughout, at least to part 4, but it's just what they wanted to do. He got killed by barbed wire around the throat around a tree. Another kill that really comes to mind would be the one where Jason hits the paraplegic in the face with a machete and he just goes backwards down the stairs. This random stair set that just came out of nowhere. I don't know where it came from. He just, that's honestly a really cool kill in the movie, I would say. That this is the way it just, how long it took. It was goofy, but it was honestly very memorable for me, just remembering it for sure in this one. I did like the little shrine that he made for his mother. Very creepy, but it's very like touching and very memorable for a guy like Jason, who has like a mental disorder, and he just really loved his mother, and he made a shrine for her with her deteriorated, decapitated head and sweater, and had like corpses and bodies laying around it as like a offering or like a sacrifice to his mom, which that actually, it never really clicked in my head until now that I said it out loud. The final girl in this movie was actually really smart. A lot of people do like her. I am actually a big fan of her too. She's really smart in this movie. She is like I think a kid psychiatrist, I think, and she's able to use her knowledge she's used from her her classes that she learned from other people. She learns the stuff that she was taught, able to work around not getting killed by Jason by using that like reverse psychology stuff on Jason, who is a full-grown man. There's the beep. He is a full-grown man who has the mentality of an 8-year-old because of his mental disorder and how much he misses his mother. So she uses the sweater, putting it on, keeping her hair like tucked in, and just distracting him long enough to hit him and injure him and get away. That's honestly a really smart thing to do when it comes to Jason, and I don't know why I never really got used again. I mean, you can't really use the same thing over and over again, but definitely a good repetitive technique to use against a individual like Jason. They did the whole fake out scene like they did in part 1, although I think part 1's fake out scene where he comes out of the lake and takes out Allison into the water, the fake out scene / dream sequence. That part 1 is better. Part 2, I would say it's only good because you actually get to see what Jason looks like from under the mask, because he loses it. To me, he kind of looks like some hacksaw Jim, long-haired, goatee, gruff-looking, deformed head person. I know hacksaw Jim's a really bad analogy. I can't think of the name, but I'm thinking of the face. But it's just, the way he looked was actually not that bad. It did show his deformities and whatnot, everything, and it's honestly probably one of the only times that it shows Jason with the full head of hair. The only other question I have is, what happens to the final girl after this movie? She just gets taken to the hospital and she's never spoken of or remembered of ever again. She doesn't get killed. She doesn't get... It's not said that she gets killed off screen. She just gets taken to the hospital and is just out of the story for good. Maybe she just took her own advice and just never went back, because that's probably the smart thing to do after you went through a traumatic thing like that. Rating wise, I don't remember my rating for part 1, so if it does counter with what I did put for part 1, and if my rating is different from my initial 2-minute review of this film, yeah, I would say that it's about the same as part 1. I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10, and there were some things here and there that could have been done better, that part 1 did better, but there was a lot that was done better in this film that was not as good as in the first one. So it's kind of like an equal balance when it came to this movie. It wasn't, like I said, it's not terrible. I actually liked it a lot. It's not one that I would go back and watch again. I wouldn't put part 2 in my like top 5 favorite Friday the 13th films, but it's definitely not the bottom 13? Bottom 12. There's only 12 Friday the 13th films, which is ironic. It's not on, nowhere near like the bottom 12. I'd probably put it close to like maybe the top 6, maybe like 6th or 7th out of my ranking. I am going to do like a full ranking of the Friday the 13th series after I get through the entire series, which may take a while, since I'm throwing in other reviews here and there. But yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but I'm not going to say it's bad. It's still pretty good. It's not one I'd go back and watch again. You will definitely know the ones I would want to watch again later on when I get to them, but it's not one of the worst ones. There are far more worse Friday the 13th films than this one, definitely, for sure. But again, 7 out of 10, not that bad of a movie. definitely go check it out, I would say. On that note, that is my shared thoughts on Friday the 13th Part 2, my revisited shared thoughts of Friday the 13th Part 2, since this review is far longer than the 2.5-minute one I did. I'm sorry for that review I did a few months back. Here is the full review that I actually have for you guys. My next review, I'll probably keep it as a surprise like I did with my King of the Monsters film. I would like do the first two and then keep the third one a surprise. To surprise, it is another like drama-like film. It ain't kind of a mystery, but not really like the mystery is the figuring out. I don't know how to explain this. It's a good drama film, and it's great. I would say great storytelling and everything. But it's enough of that. You will hear about that in my next review. But until then, this has been MykeCheck'd 95 on another MykeCheck'd Productions MykeCheck'd movie review. I feel like if I say that a lot slower, I'll be able to get it down better. I'll see you in the next review.